The New York Jets finally do the right thing. I'm Ryan Sampson. That's Brandon London. We're here to talk about it on Gangzone here live. And we're also going to be joined by our guy, Frankie Vittorini here. And we're going to break down that the New York Jets have finally locked up Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson to fresh 4-year extensions, and they do the right thing. Let's bring in our guy, Frankie Vittorini. Frankie, I'll toss to you first, buddy. How you doing? How you feeling after the Jets just locked up Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson?
Hey, man, I just spent about the last 2 weeks arguing as to why they shouldn't pay Sauce Gardner right now. So I was on the train of pay Garrett, wait a year for Sauce. I wanted to see another show me year. But hey, with that being said, Sauce Gardner, he's now the highest paid corner in the NFL. And it's really not even close if you want to take total value. He's making over $120 million. He's going to have to bring it. And I'm going to be front and center expecting him not only to cover the way he did his first 2 years in the NFL, which were at an all-pro level. Brandon and Ryan, I'm going to want him to get interceptions. I'm going to want him to force some fumbles. I'm going to want him to impact games to the point that we win games because of Sauce Gardner. If you want to be the best, you got to do things that the best have done. I want to see games like Deion Sanders had. I want to see games like Charles Woodson's had. I want to see you be the best at your position. But with that being said, thanks for having me on, everyone. And hey, it's a celebration for Sauce and his fans. I'm, though, going to be on the front line expecting him to act like the best corner in the league. I want to see it.
If Frankie was a Jets GM, I would have to call you Joe Muji, because half of you is Joe Douglas by not wanting to pay and lock up Sauce, your 4th overall pick back in 2022, and then the other half of you is Darren Muji that wants that locked up Garrett Wilson. I mean, I'm with you there in terms of wanting to see more from Sauce, especially when it comes to the turning the football over and having that huge pack. But I think that he's done enough to warrant this game, like this paycheck. He has been one of the top corners, at least top 3 in the league since he gotten in 2023. First rookie corner to be all pro in 40 years. That's something that's huge. Deion, none of those dudes Revis Island, none of those dudes are able to do that. 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler. He had a down year last year, like we talked about, but he still allowed the fewest catches when it came to qualified corners who in terms of coverage snaps. So I think he set the bar so high that we were expecting when we were going to see some sort of ascension,
right?
Not just go from locking guys down to possibly getting Frankie 5, 6, even 7 interceptions or forced turnovers in a year. But I'm with you there. I think that they did the right thing by locking him up, a core guy. But now that you've paid him top money, top dog money, you got to outshine the PS2s and the Derek Stingley Juniors.
Well, that's what we talked about, Brandon. It's funny, Frankie. Brandon and I had actually recorded a fun, nice 36-minute discussion about the Garrett Wilson extension, because we didn't know the Sauce Gardner extension was going to happen right then and now, but we planned on doing that today and then having a content piece come out later when Sauce extension was hopefully going to come out before training camp starts next week. But lo and behold, as I'm editing this, we get the alert: Sauce Gardner locked up to a 4-year extension as well. So now the Jets guys have locked up Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson on both on 4-year extensions. They have them both under contract now through 2030. Think about that. So you have them now until 2030. So for the next 5 seasons, 6 total, if you really want to think about it, the Jets have their young players locked up for the foreseeable future. This is how you finally start building a culture that you can cultivate, hopefully a winning program here. And Frankie, this is where I'm gonna open the discussion for both you and Brandon. And we had talked about this before. Credit has to go to Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. The fact that they went into this offseason, their first offseason as head coach, a first-time head coach and a first-time GM, and they said, we're going to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. We're going to wipe the slate clean there. And then we're going to draft the offensive tackle at 10, Armand Membu, to rebuild this offensive line and surround Justin Fields with a good young offensive line, which you hope can develop. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our guys show up to all the offseason programming. We're not going to have any off the field storylines of guys holding out, specifically Sauce and Garrett, who we all knew were looking for those next deals. and then they lock them both in right before training camp starts. This is such a culture shift in what the Jets are doing. And I just wanted to open up to you guys and what your thoughts are on what Aaron Glenn and Darren Mujier are doing with this Jets team right now.
Go ahead, Frankie.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll say this. Everything that Aaron Glenn said he was going to do, he was going to keep his hometown players. He was going to want to develop a culture around guys that the Jets have had here that have been successful in Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. He's done it. So I can't blame him for that. Everything that he said he was going to do. And this offseason, in a lot of ways, has been a very good offseason. Like you brought up, the draft picks we've had. The culture seems to be shifting a bit. And it's not about anything but winning. We don't care about the one Jets drive stuff. We don't care about the media side to things. The Jets, it seems like, and Aaron Glenn and Muji, they really just want to build a winner. And with these two being at the center of that, one on offense, one on defense, they're clearly serious about it. I really think that they've done a lot of homework on both these guys, and they really have bought in to winning. And with that said, now you got to prove it, though. Training camp's around the corner. You got to put in the time. Brandon, you've been at camps before. You know how it is. The more time and dedication and effort you put out on the field when you're practicing, that shows up on Sundays. So they better get ready to work hard. I know the Jets now, they have like an earlier training camp schedule too. That Glenn wants them there a few hours early. That's when you start to really put together the piece. You bring the pieces together. But the pieces are here, and we'll see how it does.
I'm really excited for the fan base. When's the last time you guys have had back-to-back good news like this? Like back-to-back tweetable. Like I can't wait to go to the bar and just have an NFL chat with some of your friends to be like, hey, look at these back-to-back moves that were made, back-to-back competent moves that were made by our regime, by our organization.
And done in a timely manner, Brandon. Like doing this before training camp starts, you were so right when we talked about this earlier. It was important to get this done before training camp because you didn't want that to carry over as a storyline. And now it's all about football. And it's all about the on-the-field product. That's what you were harping on. I couldn't agree more.
And, Frankie, I think these dudes are ready to get to work because I think the reason why they showed up to OTAs and had perfect attendance were because it was like, all right, let me see where this is going to go. I could play this last year out with this regime on a 1-year type thing. And then after that, tell my agent, man, get me up out of here. You can ship me to Cleveland if you have to. Just get me out of Florham Park. But the fact that they sign these contracts before going into trading camp, no hold out, no hold in, none of that. These dudes are like, I'm going to be there on day one. That goes to show that they've bought in. They've 100% bought in. They're ready to put that work in, Frankie, because I believe that these are two dudes. When they were drafted, I was at the draft party with Bart Scott. We were doing the joint draft party. When you heard all when you saw the press that they did, and when they were introduced to Jets Nation and all, they were talking about wanting to win here. They've gone through the negatives here. So you're not going to re-sign unless you think that, all right, we are on the up and up, and we are finally, I think, going to right this ship and turn this thing around. It may not be this year, but they feel as though by them signing and showing up on time, Frankie, I think that they are saying, like, I'm ready to lead from the front and be one of these guys that contributes to turning this program around.
Yeah, one quick note there, and Ryan, you're going to like this. I heard and I saw some things about Aaron Rodgers not being here actually led to Garrett Wilson potentially wanting to stay here. There were some rumors that if they brought back AR, that Garrett might have wanted it. Wanted
it was
out of here because there were murmurs about that all last year. You remember, right?
Well, yeah, you can't forget, Frankie and Brandon, that the rumors were if Rodgers stays, Davante Adams is staying. He's not going anywhere. And guess who Garrett Wilson is going to be competing with targets for? Davante Adams. Is Aaron Rodgers' best friend, and he was going to be peppering him with targets. We saw the drop-off in terms of target share and how much the ball was being thrown to in the offense. Garrett Wilson took a decidedly back seat to Davante Adams in that offense. So, of course, he was going to be frustrated if Aaron Rodgers returned. It didn't work out here the way they had hoped for. But the whole point now is that they turn the page, this Jets franchise, and that they are now fully focused on what matters on the field. And what matters on the field is when you build a culture and you build a young, talented team here, which the Jets have, in my opinion. And I think that they have two guys they had to lock up, get the right deals done with them. So let's just, again, look at this from a bird's eye view for all the fans that are joining here. Watch us here. This is Gangs All Here live show. We're reacting live to the Jets locking up Sauce Gardner just now. Garrett Wilson extension news came down yesterday. Sauce and Garrett. Sauce Gardner signs a 4-year, $120.4 million deal. Garrett Wilson signs a 4-year, $130 million deal. Sauce Gardner now is the highest paid cornerback in the NFL on a per year basis. He is at $30.1 million. That is $100,000 more than the previous highly paid corner in Derek Stingley Jr. Garrett Wilson goes to top 5 paid now in the NFL in terms of wide receiver pay per year at $30.2 million a year. Brandon London, is that worth the money that the Jets just gave those two guys?
Absolutely. You had to. You had to pay for both these dudes, both for the production that they already had. And again, the projection that I feel as though both of these guys are going to continue to have. If Garrett Wilson can get, and Frankie, I think you'll back me up on this one. If Garrett Wilson can get stable quarterback play, he automatically goes into that top 5, top 4 wide receiver rank. If Sauce Gardner can have a, rebound year and take the football away, get those interceptions that we talk about, that justifies paying him as the highest corner in the league. But if you look at his yards per target in 2022 and 2023, it was 5.3 and 6.0 6. During those years, the Jets had two top 5 rated defenses.
Oh, yeah.
So when Sauce is on point, the defense is on point. So I guess they're looking at it for the sense where I don't think he needed that motivation of an Aaron Rodgers not coming back. That was more a Garrett Wilson thing in terms of, I don't want all that noise. I don't want to, like you said, share targets with somebody's boy. I'll compete for targets, but not if that's your boy.
It's your ride or die. Devontae Adams was his ride or die.
On the Sauce side of things, love the handshake he and Aaron Rodgers had. Aaron Rodgers kind of got him into the limelight. He's dating Ice Spice now. But I think Sauce Gardner doesn't want to be that rock star. I think he just wants to be looked at and paid as the top corner in the league. Now he can get to business and he can get back to business, and we can see him go back to who he was in 2022 and 2023, Frankie.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, that all sounds good. And for the most part, I agree.
Such a hater
to the Garrett point.
He is not a Sauce guy.
The reason is with Sauce. All right. I'll try to make this as concise as possible. Garrett Wilson, I feel at 32.5 per, he is going to be quality in any kind of offense. If you're high volume passing, high volume running, we've seen Garrett Wilson do things with the worst quarterback play I've ever seen in my life. There is no doubt Garrett Wilson is going to give you value regardless of the kind of offense that the Jets want to run or who the quarterback is. He's played with the worst. Hopefully he plays with some of the best so you can really see him ascend. My issue lies with the Sauce signing is I don't know what kind of corner Sauce is. He's clearly not a game-changing interception Richard Sherman type of corner. We haven't seen it. No, he's not. He's not. He's one interception in 2 years. And
Frank, he's a 2-time All-Pro. He's a 2.
Yeah,
so
but
if you got all 2-time All-Pro without a lot of interceptions, that means that they're not even throwing at you. You're locking somebody all the way up.
Yeah, but hear me out on this, Brandon. The Jets, and me and Ryan and I have spoken about this in multiple post games. How many teams come in to play the Jets, and there's no need to throw the ball deep down the field? You're running the most vanilla, basic offense you can. You know, if you hit that 17-point mark, we're not reaching 17. We're lucky if we score 2 touchdowns. So, and I'm not saying Sauce has nothing to do with that. Listen. When Sauce came out of college, guys, I was the biggest advocate for Sauce out of Cincinnati. I was a big Sauce fan. Last year really left a bad taste in my mouth, and I can't get over some of the stuff that I saw on the field, some of the inabilities and things that he didn't do when it came to just like being there for his teammates. I felt I saw him sitting on the sidelines. There's a bunch of different things that just rubbed me the wrong way. Some of the tweets, I wanted to wait another year. With that said, it's over. I'm not a person that looks into the past, but I want to keep this guy in a high regard for this defense overall, because regardless of what this defense does, Brandon and Ryan, he has to make an impact, because you don't have unlimited $30 million contracts. We're the only team, in the NFL that is now paying 2 non-quarterbacks over $30 million. We're the only ones. There's no other team in football that's paying any 2 players $30 million plus that aren't quarterbacks. Granted, Stingley and Hunter are getting $30 million plus, but Stingley's at $30 million, so Sauce is $30.1 million. It's basically the same, but we're technically the only team that has 2 players making over 30. You got to prove it to me, man. That's it. I want to see us win some games. I'm not going to wait another year.
Well, you got two young pass rushers that you don't have to pay right now, so you can pay them. For
2
now.
Young tackles.
You got Quinnen Williams locked up at a good price. You got Sherwood at a discounted price because you don't have to pay him that CJ Mosley type money. This is going to be motivation for the next guy in line. I think that this is going to light a fire to Breece Hall. Like, he's going to run Ricky this year, because now he realizes, like, hey, this is a functional franchise, and they're paying their talent. I'm one of the guys that have had some sort of success here. I've gone through the ups and downs and the bad and just the overall it's show that has gone on at One Best Drive and at MetLife Stadium. So if I run wild this year, 1,300, maybe 12, 15 touchdowns, will they pay me on the other end of it? So I think this is great motivation. And Frankie, I don't think you're going to see Sauce sitting on the sideline with the helmet and all that. If you're going through a terrible season or another terrible season where it's like the same stuff over and over and over again, it's hard to just stand there and stand with your chest out and be like, all right, we're getting beat again. We look dysfunctional again, and not show any sort of emotion. So I'll jump on that grenade for Sauce, but I think you're going to get the version of Sauce that you want this year.
And Frankie, I'd be remiss if I don't bring up some of these comments from some of the fans here. Dark Soldier says, you got 19 teams paying more for their quarterbacks by a lot. And that's true. The Jets aren't paying their quarterback anything right now. Right. So
and if we get a rookie quarterback next year, you're not paying them anything either, really.
So where's the harm in the fact that you're only giving him a 4-year deal, right? And the fact of the matter is, the next corner that gets paid, Brandon and Frankie, they're going to get paid more than Sauce. Yeah. Like, that's just the way these deals are working right now. It's the same thing with wide receivers. Like, you figure out, are you the next highest paid guy, or do we slot you somewhere in the top 5 like a Garrett Wilson? And you make your contract work that way. It's almost like, all right, I know cookie cutter. Like, I know what the next deal is going to be, so it's going to be more than what Sauce Gardner made. I think this is like, I hear you, Frankie. The one concern I would actually say, right, for Sauce Gardner, and this is if you really wanted to talk about on the field performance, how is he going to look in Aaron Glenn's defense? Because Aaron Glenn's defense is a true man-to-man. Like, he'll throw some zone in there, but it is man-to-man, and that's what they focus on, right, Frankie? So what does Sauce do on a one-on-one island, and can he truly lock down these number 1 wide receivers when he's asked to be hunting these guys one-on-one?
Yeah, that's the biggest question, Ryan. I don't know, because they're going to want to do man blitzing stuff. They're going to want to send some of those outside linebackers off the edge, bring some pressure, bring one more than you can block. But then you're going to put your corners on islands. That's just what's going to happen. I'm a little concerned about it. Now, with Sauce specifically, I don't know if man is his advantage. Brandon, let's talk about this for a sec. A lengthier corner typically doesn't have the small space agility or explosiveness like a smaller corner does. It's just physics, right? Yep. Takes you a longer step. You have to go stride for stride. I like Sauce more in space. I think, like, in a cover 3, him dropping back is to me a better place for him as a corner. With that, you want to see the tip balls, the interceptions, stuff like Sherman used to do. Now, can he be a man corner? I don't know, right? To your question, I don't know, but I think they're going to come at him this year. And the league, knowing that he's gotten this amount of money, you're going to see some teams late. You're going to see the Dolphins late, depending upon what the score is. Oh, let's do a let's do an up and go with Tyreek or Waddle and see if he can cover that. I mean, they're going to try him this year. And listen, I hope the kid does great, and I think he can be. I want to see him impact football games.
Well, one, I'm not paying my corner just to be in cover 3. I'm not giving you $30 million just to play cover 3. Two, I think Sauce. So where he makes up for not being able to be super short and super shifty. You look at it,
Yeah.
DJ Reed, he was shorter, he was shiftier, but who are you going to take? I'm going to take Sauce Gardner.
DJ Reed went to the Lions, though. Don't forget that. And you know what I mean?
Like, I'm just comparing.
Yeah.
I'm just comparing the two. DJ Reed, I was a big fan of DJ Reed, but just to compare the two different type of skill sets, Sauce is a guy that if he gets up in your face with how long he is and how hit that arm bar and that extension, unless you're one of those top tier receivers that know how to get off the line and press, Sauce is going to use that to his advantage. He's also a very smart player to where he plays with angles.
Yeah.
So if you are faster than him and you do beat the press, he's not going to turn and run behind you. He's going to turn and cut you off at an angle because he's great when it comes to route recognition and what it is you're trying to do with your release. So if they put him in this one-on-one, you got this, cover 11 type thing, or you're pressuring a lot with the safety over the top and and cover 11. I think it's only going to help him in a way, because if you can get there or at least get close to make that quarterback at least move off of his spot, Sauce has the good enough makeup speed, as we've seen him in certain plays, on crossing routes, run down and maybe not get that interception, but get his hand in there to affect the play and to get a pass breakup. So I think Sauce has the tools to play man to man, but it's going to be able to help him out if that pressure gets there, because if it doesn't, then you're asking this long limb corner to hold up 4+.
Yeah, talking about covering Tyreek Hill. You're talking about covering. The Tyreek Hills of the world, when he goes up against Jamar Chase, like those are the guys you're gonna have to lock down on these one-on-one situations. Now he's getting paid. Now he's gonna be expected, and I hear you. The pressure's gonna be on him, but there is no doubt, though, guys. Sauce Gardner was special his first 2 years in the season in the NFL, and really made an impact and helped this defense be a top 5, top 10 defense in the NFL. With that being said, can this defense get back to where it was 2 or 3 years ago under Aaron Glenn?
I think so, man. I do. That's the one thing I'll bring that I'm very, very gun-ho on. I'll be very positive, Frankie, for a change on this stream. No, I do. I think the defense is going to be lights out. I really do. I think Wilkes is going to get those boys hot. I think they're going to be flying all over the place. I think Sherwood, if you want to talk about a player that if I had to bet would be an all-pro, I'm betting on Jamie Sherwood. Yeah. Trust me on that. That kid's flying, was flying all over the place last year. He'll be flying all over the place this year. I think with Jermaine back, that's going to be huge. Even if he might not be there physically, mentally, Jermaine brings such an edge, literally. So having him up there, I think Quinnen's going to want to get his wheels turning again. I think last year with Saleh getting fired, Sauce had a bad year, Quinnen had a down-ish year. Everyone's was kind of out of it. I think this year they'll lock back in. I think Glenn will get to those guys, as will Wilkes. I think the defense is going to be really stinking good. I do. I think we could end up being – I just don't want to do what we did, 3 years ago, where we're, the second-ranked defense or the first-ranked defense, and then our offense can't seem to score points. So – but I do see our defense being a top 10 defense for the most part. I mean, I'm all there. I'm excited for them.
I'm with you, Frankie. If they are a top 10 defense, it's because this team played complementary football. That means that they weren't having to do what you say, hold a team to under 17 points. You know how hard that is in the NFL. It is a league where people want fantasy points. They want the offense to score. It is set up in their favor. I think the Jets defense is going to be better with Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes, because I got tired of Jeff Ulbrich in this cover 4
base
scheme,
defense, man, never blitzing,
and just allowing, hey, we've got a strong, solid front seven. We can get after you,
which they didn't this year.
Which they did not have this year.
They were paper tigers against the run. They could not stop the run,
and they got exposed on the back end because of that as well. It's hard to hold up in coverage against these Jamar Chases and Tyreek Hills for as long as those guys were having to have to hold up. Now, Sauce and DJ Reed kind of caught a bad rep last year for the defensive holdings and the DPIs. He can't have that this year. You know, DJ's gone with the Lions, but Sauce can't have that this year. But I believe that because of the way that this defense is going to be coached and because of the schemes that they're going to have, and getting after the quarterback, wild exotic blitzes, and just playing straight up man-to-man on the back end, if they can have and play complementary football and the offense can put pressure on another offense in the sense of, hey, we scored, y'all got to score. Then that's where, Frankie, you're going to see Sauce get those interceptions and turn the ball over. But if not, if they can't stop the run, then it's going to be more of the same this year than like it was last
I will
year.
say for you fellas, Aaron Glenn coming from Detroit, they were the third most penalized team on defense last year. I'd have to do a deep dive in the numbers of how many of those were holdings and DPIs. And I do know that the Lions were that one team that were asking the NFL for a rules change this offseason, saying we don't think that defensive holdings should result automatically in a first down. Am I correct? Or illegal contact downfield? Illegal contact downfield. They don't like that being a first down automatic. So it does make you wonder where Aaron Glenn is on the physicality, how physical he wants his corners to be. You kind of have to be physical if you're going to be a man-to-man corner. Have to be able to press these guys up on the line of scrimmage, not letting get the free release and do what they want on their route separation. But listen, man, Sauce Gardners don't come around every day. No. That's just the bottom line, Frankie. And this is where I'll spin it to Joe Douglas. Gotta give credit where credit is due. He nailed his first two picks there in that draft in 2021. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, first two picks, or 2022, actually, sorry. Now you're paying him. And this is ultimately what good teams do. Yep. You draft good players, you develop them, and you ultimately pay them and keep them. And I think ultimately Aaron Glenn recognized that and knew right away, I need to reward these young men, and I know I can get the best out of them. Frankie, I do want to ask you this because I asked Brandon this before. It feels like with Aaron Glenn, he's putting all the emphasis on his coaching staff and getting the most out of these players. And there's a lot of pressure now. I think that's going to shift on the coaching staff and what their scheme is going to be, where they're going to put these guys in position, how to make them most successful. Because I think that they think in their eyes, these guys haven't been coached the right way or to the best of their abilities. What do you think about what Aaron Glenn and how he's heading into this season, his first year as head coach?
Yeah, I think Rye and Brandon, I think he wants guys to play fast and loose. I don't think he wants this team to have to overthink. I think you see it a lot with what this team was doing the last couple of years. Everyone's thinking too much. Brees is getting the ball and thinking too much. Sauce, in certain situations, is thinking too much. Hesitations everywhere. No one's playing loose. Garrett last year, you saw him hesitate a few times, miss a couple easy balls that he wasn't really at the right spot. I think Glenn wants to throw all that out the window. I think he wants everything to be about what this coaching staff can get out of these players at the most fast and loose level. And I think with that will come mistakes. I think Glenn is totally cool with somebody making a bad mistake because that's what comes with playing fast and loose. I don't think we're going to have a conservative Jets offense and defense. I don't. I think they're going to want Fields to run that RPO and then throw it deep down the field. Throw some interceptions. It's fine. See what you can get away with. Tanner Engstrand, it's your first year as an offensive coordinator. Figure out what you can and can't do. That'll bode very well for Fields and if we bring in a new quarterback next year. So I think Glenn has that approach. I think he did a really good job of establishing the foundation to this team with the offensive line, with Fields to a degree. At least we have a prominent starter. And then now with Garrett and Sauce, I think he's told himself, we have Quinton under contract. We signed Sherwood. I got my base. Now go out and play. Make some mistakes. I'll get on your ass. Make some mistakes. We'll learn from it and we'll get better. I think the approach is great. I really do. I really think the approach is great. Do I want them to have a little bit more financial flexibility because you don't know what could come up down the line financially? You could throw as much money around as you want. It's still a salary cap sport, remember. I wish he would have, or Muji would have been a little bit more, I don't want to say frugal, but Sauce had 2 years left, or even Garrett. Like,
you can't get off the Source thing, man. He can't get off it.
Ryan, if you look, I go team by team salary cap caps. I look at their salary caps. There's not many teams that have 3 players making over 30 million, including quarterbacks. So like, I'm just saying, like, you don't know what could come up next year. With that being said, it is what it is. I might be crying about it, but I'm really not. But let's see what these guys do on Sundays.
But Frankie, what message would you be sending to the locker room if you underpay your best offensive weapon and your best defensive weapon? 2 homegrown guys who have done everything the right way. 2 guys, again, didn't make any noise about their contract in terms of when this new regime has gotten in. We heard a little grumblings last year and all, but I mean, we can all excuse them for that. So if you're Darren Muji and you don't pay these guys like a Garrett Wilson, who 3 straight years with over 1,000, with 8 different guys throwing him the football. Again, Sauce Gardner, 2-time All-Pro. If you don't pay 2 of your best players who never got a DUI, good in the community, they both have good enough names in terms of being entertaining enough for people to want to buy their jerseys and to still show up to go watch these guys play, what kind of message would you be sending to the locker room if you underpaid these guys? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're correct on that. If they didn't pay Sauce, but they paid Garrett, that could cause some rifts in the locker room. Even though he's got 2 years left, you're right, it could cause something there. I'll say this. The fundamental difference, I think, here between my point of view and maybe Ryan's or yourselves is I believe the Jets should be rebuilding. Now, a rebuild could take a year. It could take 2 years. It could take 5 years. I think they're rebuilding. When you're in a rebuild, typically there's been something wrong. Something stinks in the foundation. I don't know what it is. It's not working. Something's off. It could be a vibe thing. Could be a play thing. It could be a coaching thing. It could be probably a little bit of all that. I don't want to tie myself down without starting to see something that looks like a winning team. Then once you see that and you know you could do it, then I would start tying things down. And I'm not saying they're doing the wrong thing here. Just from my perspective, I'm not signing somebody to 6 years if I don't know if that person is going to be a part of a winning team because they haven't been previously. And something's off. So to me, I look at it as a rebuild. Ryan looks at it as a retool. It's kind of like we're talking semantics here, but do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. So here's what I'm going to say for both you fellas.
Did he say you want a retool?
I think it's a retool. Do you understand what I'm saying, though?
Why?
Because the base foundation's there, which I don't think he's giving enough credit for. The base foundation by Joe Douglas and what he established. You have Olu Fashanu. You just drafted Armand Membu. You just drafted Mason Taylor. You also got Breece Hall. You got Braylon Allen. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Sauce Gardner, Quincy Williams, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson. How many more players do you want me to name that you think are actually good? I'm not saying they're all amazing, but they're all good to solid players, starters on any NFL team, you could argue, in the NFL. That's a good base, Brandon. You could retool around that group. And that's what I'm trying to focus on both of you guys. Like,
that's a good point, Rye.
Hear me out, fellas. I think the whole reason the Jets went in this coaching search and saying like Aaron Glenn's our guy because he believes in his coaching style mindset, like you guys have pointed out. And I think from his perspective, he's trying to say, I can get more out of this group. And I think with more pieces that we can piece around the group, we'll keep our core intact and we'll try to give this thing. I'm not talking about another shot at the playoffs here. They could be a playoff team if all goes well. But at the end of the day, I expect them to be competitive. I expect them to be well coached. I expect them to have good schemes that we can actually diagnose and not be Aaron Rodgers dropping back 57 times in a game. But instead, I'm getting a well-developed run game and a well-developed passing game to the point where we could say, all right, who can we hold on to now from here? You know what? John Simpson actually didn't look too great this year. Hey, we got another year of Joe Tippmann. We don't think he's actually that good of a center. On the defensive side of the ball, you know what? Quinn Williams had another bad year. Maybe we can trade him at his highest point of value or somewhat high value, and we can move on and find another defensive tackle that we can build around. You know what? Quincy Williams had another down year in our defensive scheme. We paid Jamie Sherwood. We can get rid of him. There's a way to go about, and I think you talked about this when we talked about this earlier. You can evaluate and figure out who can I keep on this roster going forward and who I can get rid of after this year. And help retool this team and build it the way you want to build it in terms of getting to that point of being consistent winning.
You guys got your GM hats on today because you guys are thinking like the guys
I know.
upstairs.
I know.
I'm thinking as the player, the coach.
The coach. I know. You're the coach's son. I know.
Hello, you play
to win the game.
As soon as they show up and walk through that door at One Jets Drive on Monday, everyone should be focused, and your only goal should be trying to win a Super Bowl. Half and half upstairs, though, because I'm with you guys. You have to kind of Muji has to look down the road when it comes to contracts and guys and bodies and what type of production I think I can get out of a guy 2, 3, 4 years from now. So he kind of has to wear two hats per se, but every move he still has to make has to be towards winning a Super Bowl. If they were to come, I don't think anyone walking in that door, coaches and players, cafeteria staff, or anybody that was retained after they, put everybody on notice, wants anyone to have a mentality of, all right, well, maybe next year. Well, let's see how good we can be this year to set up next year or the following year. No one, the fan base, no one has time for any more losses.
No, I totally agree with you, and that's the mindset all of them have in that building.
Yep.
I'm talking about, like, again, like you said, from the GM perspective and from I'll call it a culture / franchise, how you want to run this. And that's where I think Aaron Glenn's coming from. Like, he's going to coach to win every game, but he also knows I have a job to evaluate in my first year where I can put my chess pieces on the board and say, I think I can win with this guy. I don't think we can win with this guy. This guy might be more of a bench piece. We think we can get value out of this guy. He's going to evaluate at the end of the year. At the end of the year. I'm just saying, though, from what Frankie was saying, where he thinks that this should be a rebuild, I don't necessarily agree, because I think there are still a lot of good to solid players on this team, and a couple really, really elite players, I would say, on this team that you can put your arms around and say, we haven't gotten to your full potential yet, and we think we can do that this year.
So
Ryan, you also
go ahead. Go, Frankie. I got a question for you after this, though.
Yeah, no, you made a really good point, and you made me think about something. There might be a little bit of a chess game going on here with Muji and Glenn on some of these players, because the fact that we locked in Garrett and Sauce, we're not going to get in a situation where, if the Jets are in this feel out year, let's say they win 3 games. I'm just saying, put a hypothetical out there. They don't have a great season. These guys are here to stay. They're not going to be asking out. You're not trading them. I mean, like, they're here to stay. So this might have been pretty smart for the most part. Like, you're locking in guys before a year that is going to be that feel out sort of year, and you're not going to get into any issues. I mean, you look at the Commanders now, what they're dealing with Terry McLaurin. That's a disaster. That has disaster written all over it. He's out there today complaining to the media. Doesn't look good. Doesn't build good energy for the team. Other players on that team are looking at this like, oh, I performed this well with this squad and I still can't get my money. So I think there's a lot of good things about. And Ryan,
it feels very Jets-esque with Terry McLaurin, does it not?
You're damn right it does. Listen, I'll tell you right now, I thought this was going to be Garrett Wilson. I really did. Ryan, there were certain days in Brandon I would wake up and I was thinking to myself, today's going to be the day where Garrett asks out, and then me and Ryan have to go live and talk about it. Like, I mean, it was coming up often for me. Like, I was speaking to some people that, oh, it's weird how quiet Garrett's been. No, the Jets did a really good thing, and they did a very good job here. They did. Whether I agree with everything is irrelevant. It was a good job.
Frankie, question for you.
Yes.
So what you say with the retool, we all agree that they have a pretty solid core. They've got some players in there that can win some games, but they're not the greatest team out there. No. So what if Aaron Glenn comes in and has the same first year success as a Brian Dable has? And that means that you can't drive. And let's say Justin Fields is good, not great. He has a Daniel Jones-esque type year, leads them, gets a playoff win, but it knocks you out.
Playoff win in year one?
A playoff win in year one, like Brian Dable and Daniel Jones in year one.
Yeah.
But now you miss out on being able to grab that quarterback that you really want from the future in a top 5 to top 10 pick. Would you call Aaron Glenn and these guys going to the playoffs in this first year with a decent team a success? Frankie, would you take that if it knocks you out from getting the quarterback that you want and being able to do other things down the road next offseason?
You know what, Brandon? That is the best question I think I've ever been asked in my life. That is an amazing question. No, it really is. Isn't that a great question? Because I mean, on one end, I'm like, no, like it's a great year. We made the playoffs. We maybe
It's an
won a playoff
amazing year.
game.
We have the longest playoff drought in sports history. I can't get over this, guys. If he brings them to the playoffs in year one, you're talking about an incredible accomplishment that none of the other coaching regimes or front offices have been able to do. Frankie, it would be a complete success if they get into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, but did you hear the second part though? That's very, very,
Here's my feelings on this, guys.
interesting.
You cross that bridge when you get there. If you're telling me Justin Fields is getting me to the playoffs, why the hell would I be moving off of him? He's 25 years old. He's still a young quarterback.
So was Daniel Jones.
But Daniel Jones literally proved the next 2 years after that he was not the quarterback. And let's not forget, how many touchdowns did he throw for that year?
15.
15. If Justin Fields is throwing for 20, 25 and gets him to the playoffs, he's my quarterback. If he's throwing for 15 and you're like, Ryan, it looked really rough this year, then we can have that conversation. But you're talking about such a specific hypothetical here of that happening.
Frank, you haven't given us your answer yet.
You know what, man?
15 years, Frankie.
Of course I want to make the playoffs, but you know what? All right, I'm going to answer the question. You know what I want more than making the playoffs? I want a franchise quarterback. I think a franchise quarterback outweighs making the playoffs. So if you're telling me we have a franchise quarterback on the docket or we're going to make the playoffs, I'm taking the franchise quarterback. Now you could do both. I mean, it's possible you make the playoffs and you figure out a way to trade up or Justin Fields.
There's just always a way to find your quarterback.
There's multiple ways. But Brandon, that has been what your question has been like the core, like foundational debate on Jets social media or Jets world for like 10 years. Like exactly what you're saying is like, what school of thought do you come from? Listen, at the end of the day, yeah, I'm going with the rebuild. I'm going to stick with my guns. I want to rebuild, but this team has to make the playoffs sooner rather than later. Glenn and Muji don't have that much time, man. They have to. How long? It's 15 years. How long are they going to go?
Now,
I mean, like,
with that answer, and can I be real with you for a little bit? You're talking out of both sides of your mouth there by saying,
of course I am.
I want the franchise quarterback, and then also the same breath, they don't have very long, and they need to make the playoffs really soon. That doesn't make sense. Either you think it's fully a rebuild, or you think it's a retool, like I'm saying, where you're expecting a playoff appearance in the next 2 years from these two.
Well,
guys.
let me answer the question. I don't believe in Justin Fields for the long term. Thus,
okay,
I would rather have a higher draft pick than not. That's
and then you expect a rookie quarterback to bring them to the playoffs next year?
No, I just expect a rookie quarterback that has a lot of upside. That's someone
you see what I'm dealing with you, Brandon? You see, I love Frankie. I see what I'm dealing with you.
No, it's a rookie quarter. They don't have to make the playoffs. I mean, if they're going to be good in their second year.
But did you just say that
you have to be a little patient too? Yes.
Did you just say not even 5 minutes ago that the Jets, Glenn and Muji, don't have long and they have to make a playoff appearance here soon? Did you not just say that?
Yeah, but soon meaning like 2 years, 3 years. Doesn't have to be next year.
Did you just say you have to be patient?
Man, that's between you two. I just.
All right, Ryan. Let me ask you a question. So you're fine with making the playoffs and then drafting?
I'm on the moon. I haven't seen the playoffs in 15 years.
14th or 15th and not having one of those top quarterbacks, missing out. And then you're in this predicament with Justin Fields on the roster. I'm just saying, I know we're projecting, but that's the question Brandon's asking because he went through it with the Giants. The Giants went through that exact scenario. So.
I understand, but Jackson Dart wasn't a top 5 quarterback pick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pick these guys in the top 3, top 4, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you could find your quarterback later in the draft.
We still got to see what Jackson Dart is going to be.
Right. And you don't even know he's going to be your franchise quarterback. You're hoping he's going to be your franchise quarterback. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say here. Like, Frankie, like, I'd rather make the playoffs. It's the longest playoff drought in sports. It's not even close. And it's embarrassing.
It's team down a lot too.
It's embarrassing. It's such a dark cloud over this franchise. And it's going to be held over this franchise until they make the playoffs. So if you're telling me Glenn and Muji have to do this soon, then yes, I expect them to try and make the playoffs this year and next year. Do I think they're a playoff team this year? No, I don't, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to be competitive, and I think they're going to be in a lot of games. Next year, if they surround this team with even more talent, they get a true wide receiver too, they get another couple pieces on defense. Yeah, I expect them to be a playoff team. Now, like Frankie said, what is Justin Fields in this year? We don't know. We don't know. They're trying to give him a full chance and a full opportunity with no preconceived notion of you need to have this stat, you need to have this marker you have to hit. It's your job, bud. You have the full offense. We're going to cater around you. We're going to run the hell out of the football. We're going to give you your best offensive line you ever had in your career. You have the best wide receiver you're ever going to throw in your career. Let's see what you got.
They've kind of covered all bases. Like they've checked all boxes in terms of if there is a losing season, but they're competitive, then I think the fan base can kind of look at this regime like, okay, we're going in the right direction because they didn't do anything stupid with the money when it came to the quarterback position. Like you said, we didn't pay the quarterback because we wanted other guys, better pieces that we wanted to play. I'm going to bring in my type of football. We're going to be fast. We're going to be explosive. Everything like you said, Frankie, that I think that this entire Jets fan base wants to see. That defense get back to lighting it up. Those dudes dances with the sacks and all that. People want to see that. So I think this regime has done a great job of, one, getting the players to buy in, two, slowly getting the fan base to buy in with the offseason moves. Now we just got to get on the field and see if they could win some games, because do I think they go to the playoffs? No, but I do think they're that team that we're like, oh man, the Chiefs lost to the Jets. Oh man, these guys lost to the Jets. Like the Jets are going to pull off some upsets on some teams this year. May hurt the draft position, but I think it'll make you feel good. People will feel good about themselves, or at least about this franchise going forward, if they can win some competitive games.
Yeah, the question becomes, well, the last thing on that, guys, the question becomes, Rye and Brandon, how far can this team go with Justin Fields? What is the trajectory there? And like with potentially a rookie quarterback, I mean, like that's where I'm kind of thinking is like, what is this team ceiling? You're right in that they basically have established anchors on all fronts: offensive line, defensive line, now wide receiver, corner, linebacker.
That's so why like it's a retool, my friend. It's not a rebuild.
The quarterback is always the caveat, though.
I hear you, buddy.
Mean, that's always the.
But
toss it up. You could have everything, but without that, you kind of,
But wouldn't you agree the way that Glenn and Muji have gone about this is like, listen, man, we'll take a flyer on Justin Fields. He's young. He's talented. We don't think he's reached his full potential. We'll give him the full opportunity to prove himself. And if you get a Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold type season, you're like, whew, look at us.
Look how smart we are.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing.
And it's going to give you basically a 5-6 year window to, hey, if Justin Fields is our guy, we'll stick with him. But at the same time, that's not stopping you from drafting his successor or giving him competition. There's no preconceived notion there. They're not tied into this guy for a 5-6 year deal. It's a 2-year deal for Justin Fields. So I think the way they're gone about it is the right way. And it's the smart way. So guys, we talked a ton about Sauce. We talked a ton about this team and where this culture is going and everything. I feel remiss if we didn't talk a little bit more about Garrett Wilson and what he signed that deal last night. Frankie and Brandon, he is the 5th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. What did you make of the fact that the Jets rewarded Garrett Wilson with an extension that puts him in the marks of like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, DK Metcalf, and then it's him. So I wonder, a lot of people have given, kind of this reaction of, he's not a top 5 wide receiver. It's like the cornerback contracts. You're the next one up. Yeah. But want to get your guys' thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think people look at him not being a top 5 receiver because he's playing on – they don't look at his organization as a top flight franchise. When you think of the Jets, all people have to say is negative things about them. So when we talk about the production-wise, the production is there, Frankie. This dude is a baller. You've seen the catches. You've seen the yak. You've seen the leadership that he's been able to display on the field. So I feel as though he wasn't underpaid because until he gets the quarterback that can really unlock his true potential, he is a younger Terry McLaurin. We were talking Terry McLaurin and what, you were saying, you were talking about him earlier a little bit, Justin. He's a guy like that. His career is comparable to Terry McLaurin with playing with the Taylor Heineke's and these Tim Boyles, these type of quarterbacks, but still putting up 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Still a walking 1,000.
Garrett played with Joe Flacco, Tim Boyle, Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Chris Streveler. I mean, he's played with absolute nobodies. It's awful. It's awful.
Guys, one of 5 wide receivers in NFL history to start his career with 3 straight 80 reception, 1,000-yard years. If you look at the other guys on that list, Michael Thomas played with Drew Brees. Jamar Chase plays with Joe Burrow. Justin Jefferson played with Cousins and Darnold. And then your boy, Brandon, Odell Beckham, played with Eli Manning. He joins that list.
Yep.
That just shows you the consistency that this guy has. And I don't even think we've put together an offense to utilize his ability to stretch the field.
Got that right.
I think they've neutered the hell out of this dude. And, barring any, health issues, I think he's gonna be right there in the conversation to be a top 5 to 7 wide receiver year in and year out. I think that was a slam dunk signing.
I was telling Ryan earlier, he would be a national name if the Jets have been to the playoffs within these last 3 years. I don't know what his personality is. Like, I don't get Odell Beckham vibes to where he's going to dye his hair or do crazy dances or anything, but you still play here in New York. If the Jets or Giants are winning and Garrett Wilson is having 100+ catches on a year, he just released his new shoe with Adidas. There are going to be commercials. He's going to get commercials. Now it's on Inkstrand, it's on Muji, it's on Glenn to find this guy, the proper quarterback, and find this guy, the wide receiver 2, that's going to take, some of that attention up off of him so he doesn't have to force his greatness. What do we see Garrett Wilson get in trouble with the drops and the fumbles when he's forcing it too much?
Yeah, and this is the other thing too with Garrett, and I want to see him truly be able to beat the number 1 corners every single week. Like there have been weeks against Patrick Surtain, Jalen Ramsey, he's cooked, and Jalen Ramsey is cooked if we're being honest. But have fun with that week 1 against Jalen Ramsey, Garrett Wilson. That'd be fun again to watch. But the number 1 corners in the NFL. Derek Stingley, I want to see him cook these guys and just be able to eat against the number 1 corners because I think he has a lot of success sometimes. Guys are playing zone on him. He gets free release and he's wide open in the middle of the field. And that's credit to him. He's a great route runner. And sometimes they scheme him up in that way. You should be. Absolutely should be. But I also know defenses are now going to go in the mindset, Brandon, of we know the Jets are going to try and run the ball probably 40 times a game. They're going to pepper Garrett Wilson with 15 to 20 targets, and our job is to just make sure we don't get beat by him. If we get beat by Alan Lazard, we get beat by Josh Reynolds, we get beaten by Mason Taylor, more credit to you. Yep. That's credit to the Jets. You guys beat us on those one-on-ones, but I'm doubling Garrett Wilson, and I'm stacking the box against the run.
Frankie, I told him earlier, it's a lot easier to cook when Chris Streveler isn't your chef, Again, if I want to see him, like you've convinced me now. Now I'm going to watch Garrett Wilson against the top corners in the league. But I need to see Justin Fields be a capable enough quarterback to at least give him a chance with a good enough catchable 50-50 ball against a PS2, against a Derek Stingley or whoever that top corner is. If I'm able to evaluate that throw, or that if I'm going to evaluate Garrett Wilson as being a top receiver, dominating top corners in this league, the only way I can evaluate him is if it's a catchable ball. And that, I think that if he has that, he'll be able to unlock that and we'll really get a chance to see G5's true potential.
Well, I'll say this. In 2023, DJ Moore had a 1,364-yard season with Justin Fields as his quarterback. He had almost 100 catches that year. But Brandon, what I wanted to say is this. You have to stay in shape, all right? Don't be partying in the city. We need you in shape because if this thing doesn't work out with the wide receiver 2 with Reynolds or Malachi Corley, dude, I'm getting you a workout. I'm telling you. I'm
What
getting
about
right
Alan
into that.
Lazard, the best run blocker in the NFL?
He's a better run blocker than Alan Lazard. No, Brandon was a good run blocker. People don't
he
realize
hates
that.
it. He hates.
Yo, can you
Yo,
guys
stop.
that is not a compliment to a wide receiver. Hey, you
gotta
job.
take wherever you can get it, man.
Bro, like I said earlier, it's like how was your date last night? Was she fine? Was she hot? She had good personality. That's the same.
I put my arm
that's
around
the
her for 2
exact
seconds.
same
Yeah,
thing
it was
of
good.
saying, "Hey, this wide receiver, yeah, no, he can't really catch. He's not a real speed demon. He's a great run blocker, though.
Can he separate? No. Can he catch the ball on
man.
key third downs?
Oh,
Actually,
man.
no. He had the most drops in the NFL last year. He was tied for him. Is he injury prone? Actually, he's been on the injury list a couple of times here in the
Does he
last
get any
couple
yak?
years.
Absolutely not.
Does he get any yak?
Yeah,
Absolutely not. Does he get offensive PI penalties? Oh, yeah, for sure he does. But you know what? He can run block.
He's a heck of a run blocker.
That's our wide receiver too, Alan Lazard. No, listen. I know we're dumping on Alan Lazard. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him, though. Like, that's again, the main thing is the main thing now. Like, we're all focused on now the on-field product.
Absolutely.
And I told Brandon this earlier, Frankie. I said, we're going to find out real soon who's going to be that wide receiver too when they have joint practices against the Giants.
Absolutely.
And I think who else? I think it's the Falcons, maybe.
Great point, right?
Is it the Falcons, Frankie? Who else they're doing joint practice with?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So with those two teams, you're going to find out real quick in those. Everyone tweeting play by play. We're going to see, is Garrett Wilson getting pepper with targets, and then is Justin Fields throwing the ball to anyone else? Because that's going to be a real storyline heading into training camp here starting next week.
Because with the Giants, you got a true corner one with Paulson and Debo.
Mm-hmm.
So now on that second end, on that other end, you're going up against Cordell Flott or Deontay Banks, two guys that are fighting to wrap up that CB2 position. If you're Josh Reynolds, Alan Lazard, Malachi Corley, Arian Smith, you got to win. You got to win there. You have to win there. Or like you said, those targets are going to one person and one person only, and it's going to look ugly at the beginning of the season for this Jets offense.
Another point, guys, something real quick with this Mason Taylor thing. You have 30 out of 32 second-round picks that have not signed their contract. So I need this holdout by the second-rounders to stop, because we need our rookie tight end to get in there, because he's our second best pass catcher right now. Yeah. So you have Carson Schlesinger and Jaden Higgins, who signed fully guaranteed deals with their teams. All the second rounders now are like, crap, they got fully guaranteed deals. Why don't we get any fully guaranteed deals? So every second rounder is holding out besides those two. So you have 30 second round picks that aren't signed at this point, which is interesting. And I think it affects us just a little more because we need Mason in there. I think it'll get done over the next couple of days, but just something interesting to look out for.
No, I agree, man. Like it's going to be the storyline now, just about who's developing as now the wide receiver too. Yep. How's this offense going to look? How's Justin Fields look? And then ultimately, can this team win some damn football games and look competitive?
But to go off of what Frankie just said real quick, if they do lock up Mason Taylor, they get him signed and he's not late to camp or he doesn't report late, again, you tip your cap to Darren Muji and that regime again, if they can get this done. You already have back-to-back days with good news. Now it looks like, because of the landscape of things, something out of their control right now, guys may be holding out until they can get some guarantees in their contract. If Mason Taylor, they get him wrapped up and they get that contract done and he goes and he shows up on time, that's another round of questions that we, the media, are not asking while at practice. You got to tip your cap to this regime, because it's going to seem like they know what they're doing.
You got to give credit, Frankie, to this front office, the way and
for
Glenn,
sure, man.
The way they've handled this entire offseason. Yeah. Like it may have been rough with the Rodgers thing. If you look at it from a certain perspective, if you're Aaron Rodgers, for everyone else, probably the right way to handle it. But they've done every right move, in my opinion. And we're not GMs, we're not coaches, but at the same time, we're fans. Or at least I'm a fan. Frankie's a fan. You're a former NFL player. You're an analyst for the Giants. You're really close to the product itself. You recognize when good moves are being made.
Without a doubt.
So, with that being said, we can recognize good for the Jets. They finally did the right thing, and they continue to do the right thing. And we hope that carries over into a hopefully competitive football season this year. So Frankie and I don't have to be miserable at the post-game shows. Fellas.
We will be.
Listen,
these post games were fun though. I had a good time. I We were texting throughout. Ryan's like, we're losing this damn game. I can't stand this. And I'm like, don't please just leave
It's a
Aaron
tough
alone.
watch, man. The Jets were a tough watch last year. So now you're just hoping
They
for
were.
actually fun football to watch. Just be competitive in these games so we can actually pay attention to the on the field product. And that's all Aaron Glenn's trying to make it for us as well. Fellas, thank you as always for coming on, doing the Gangs All Here live show. For all you fans out there, you're watching on YouTube, you're watching on X, Facebook, whatever it is. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button on the New York Post Sports YouTube channel. That's where we do all of our content here. Brandon's the host and great analyst for the Blue Rush podcast for the Giants. He does a great job over there. We're going to have tons of content coming for training camp there. Frankie and I are going to have plenty of content coming about the Jets here on Gangs All Here in this upcoming season. And as always, like I always end every show for the Gangs All Here,